State-Sacramento series a lot. As we get another turnover, Leonard with a great steal and down to the...
Well, Adrian Wojnarowski of ESPN had a little bit of a Woj bomb as well. It just kind of got a little bit overshadowed by all of the Shams bombs throughout the day. According to Woj, the NBA is expected to get much more strict and have harsher punishments to limit the resting of star players for nationally televised games and in-season tournament games. And they're supposed to get much more harsher on multiple All-Stars sitting out individual regular season games. This is what ESPN reported. The NBA's competition committee recommended a plan that the league's board of governors is expected to approve on Wednesday. It would ultimately give the league office authority for greater oversight over discipline for missed games and an ability to fine teams over $1 million for each instance of violating these new resting rules. As the league negotiates a new media rights deal, Adam Silver, the commissioner of the league, has been determined to increase player participation, and the league's goal is to strengthen the initial player resting policies that were adopted back in 2017-18. Obviously, you see them already incorporating the 65 regular season games, bare minimum, to be eligible for postseason awards. I'm gonna read a little bit of the league memo, then I'm gonna give you a little bit of my take. This is what was sent over, and ESPN obtained it. Teams must manage their roster to ensure that no more than one star player is unavailable for the same game. Teams must ensure that star players are available for national televised games and in-season tournament games. Teams must maintain a balance between the number of one-game absences for a star player in home games and road games, with a preference for those absences to happen in home games. And teams must refrain from any long-term shutdown or near shutdowns when a star player stops participating in games or plays in a materially reduced role in circumstances affecting the integrity of the game. I want to talk about that more in a second. Teams must ensure that healthy players resting for a game are present and visible to fans. I want to talk about that. I want to talk about all of this. So I think this is not going to work. None of this is going to work. And I'll just tell y'all the obvious in the room. And this has been the issue since day one. How can I tell a team, or how can I enforce rules with a team if a player tells me that I'm actually hurt? You can't go inside his body. That's the reality of it. You can't go inside his body and say, hey, bruh, are you hurt or not? Can you feel it in your elbow? Can you feel it in your knee? There's no way to do that, which means this is never going to work, because all these teams are going to do is get smarter about how they evaluate and how they diagnose injuries. That's all that's going to happen. So all of this mumbo jumbo about changing rules and getting harsher on rules and fining teams $1 million, which is real money, obviously, it ain't going to work, because teams are just going to find little ways to say, nah, my guy actually is dealing with a knee injury. He has a history of knee injuries. Like, how's that going to help anything with Kawhi Leonard and Paul George of the Clippers? We know for a fact they've been injured seriously in the past, have had multiple surgeries on their body. I think I just heard PG say he has had like 4 or 5 knee surgeries or something like that in his career. Like, we know he's had injuries. Like, nobody's ever saying like, yo, this dude is lying about injuries. We're just like, yo, why are you guys getting injured so often? What are y'all doing wrong that allows LeBron James to play 75 games for 15 years straight, and you guys are struggling to get to 50 games, 55 games in the prime of y'all career? That's what we want to know. Like, that's the reality of what this comes down to. I just don't think this is going to work. And like I said to you guys earlier, you know, Adam Silver is going to be looked at, no matter how this ends for him, as a players commissioner. David Stern will go down as, to me, a middle ground official. To me, if I had to say one side or the other, I would say he was much more ownership friendly than player friendly, but I don't think he was the worst to players either. Roger Goodell is 1000% an owner's commissioner. That's why he's getting raised. I think Roger Goodell's making like $64 million this year with the NFL. This year, not in his contract, this year. That just tells you how happy owners are with Roger Goodell running the show, because he's making them more money. And the reality is, I don't know how these media rights deals going to land. If you want to have a very long and nerdy conversation with me, find me at a sports bar in America and talk to me about sports. I like talking about nerdy things like media rights deals and all that great stuff. Y'all know I used to work at ESPN, so I'm always interested in talking about this stuff. I don't know how the next media rights deal is going to land with the NBA and their partners, their TV partners, because, you know, even though these guys are missing a lot of games, it's still live sports. And I expect gambling to pick up in a lot of these different states here over the next 5 years. I do expect a lot more of regions to adopt, you know, much more gambling within their state policies. And the more gambling becomes legal, even if guys are not playing, somebody's going to get out there and play. You can still gamble on those somebodies. You don't just have to gamble on stars, right? You know, Prize Picks is coming down the pipeline. They're starting to pick it up. Obviously, look, if you're watching a sporting event, every commercial break, you're going to see a gambling company promotion, right? You're going to see them in a commercial, right? That just tells you how big of a deal gambling is in our society. People got bookies any damn way. Like, sports is still the quintessential thing on television right now. They're the ratings draw. NFL #1, and everybody else falls in line after them. You know, when you're still able to draw 4 or 5 million people any given night on a game, like, there's still a lot of power in that. And part of me says, you know, Turner and ESPN and Disney, they're gonna get tired of all these guys sitting out. The other part of me is like, but where else are they gonna go? You know, the NFL's already locked up with certain situations, and it appears that the NFL's, they got their mind on things like Amazon and different type of partners going forward. It feels like they got their mind on streaming. They just unveiled the new YouTube TV thing that appears to be on its way to successful. Like, where's you gonna go to get people to watch your channel, right? Like, people are not gonna just sit there and watch Pat McAfee 9 hours a day and there's no live programming at night. You know, like, that's just not gonna happen. Like, so I think you're going to have to balance where we are in society with how basketball is still cream of the crop television, but these guys, you have to find a way to play them more. To me, I have a solution, but it doesn't sound progressive. The only real solution to me, and I don't like how the NFL does running backs and some of their other players, depending on the position. I don't like it, but the reality is, if the NBA were a little more like the NFL, guys would value their dollars more. At this point, I'm looking at Kevin Porter. We just talked about him in a previous segment. Kevin Porter is making $80 million, and his mind is on beating on women. Like, the reality is, these guys are taking these positions for granted. I don't look at these guys as guys that care about growing the product of the game. They just been kind of riding the backs of LeBron James and Steph Curry driven storylines for the last 12 years. So, no, I don't think these guys are like in the NFL. If you ain't on your P's and Q's one off season, your ass might be out the league. The average NFL, you know, career is like, what, 3 years? These NBA dudes, they're getting money. Even if their careers are only a couple years, they're getting paid within these couple years. And they don't care. By the time they do care, it's already too late. Their careers are already gone. So you got to find a way to get these guys to value what they got more. It cannot be all about LeBron James being the #1 entertainer in this profession. And one thing that I don't think LeBron gets enough credit for, it's a lot of things I don't think he gets enough credit for, but one of the things I don't think he gets enough credit for, seriously, is the entertainment piece of the puzzle. When I got to ESPN, I tried to make highlights like I would like to see him. I was covering a Lakers game. I was covering a Kobe game one night, and it was like, this is like towards the end of Kobe's career, and I just went Kobe shot, Kobe shot, Kobe shot, Kobe shot. That was my highlight for the night. I think they were playing Portland. I got an F on this highlight, right? Apparently in the midst of that game, Kobe had made the some 1,003 of his career, right? And I missed the whole point of the highlight. The highlight should have been about him breaking that record, and Kobe after the game talking about the three-pointer and how it's becoming much more part of the NBA game. That's what I should have had my highlight about. Instead, I just put together a few plays of Kobe, and I think I didn't put in the three-pointer that he made to break the record. My producer tagged into my ass that night. And he said, never forget, when you look at ESPN, the E comes before the S. Entertainment comes before sports. And I never forgot that. And I bring that up to say, I don't look at a lot of these guys as entertainers. Like entertainers, if you look at the elite ones, the Michael Jacksons of the world, you know, the top tier entertainers. I'm watching Beyonce on tour right now. You don't think Beyonce has been dealing with women things that go on in their bodies once a month and other things? She's like 40, right? Like, you don't think she's sore? She's a top tier entertainer. Taylor Swift, they gonna get out there regardless. They're not missing no nights because people paid their hard-earned money to see them perform. And at the end of the day, people are paying their hard-earned money to see these basketball players perform, and oftentimes they're not able to be out there. And again, it's bothersome to the product. One of the things I saw is all-stars. If the team has multiple all-stars on the team, then you got to make sure the all-stars playing. Well, what the hell does that mean? If I'm a team like the Oklahoma City Thunder, right? Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is an all-star. But to that market, Josh Giddey is an all-star. So what? Like, just because he's not an all-star, technically if Josh Giddey, which I don't think he's going to be the guy to do this, but technically Josh Giddey could sit out a lot of games because he's not technically an all-star? What the hell does that mean? Miami Heat, right? They don't usually get 2 all-stars because they don't take the regular season serious. So if Bam Adebayo gets the all-star nod again like he did last year, what, Jimmy Butler just going to be able to sit out more games because technically the Heat are not sitting multiple all-stars at a time? Technically Jimmy B's not an all-star? What does that mean? To each market, every team has their top players. And to a fan in Memphis that pays $150 to go see Desmond Bane just as much as Ja Morant, Desmond Bane not an all-star, but to that fan, he is an all-star. So I don't like that piece of the puzzle. I don't think this is going to work until the players have the pride in the product like the NFL does. I don't think, these rules are going to work because I do believe the league is just going to find ways around it. Again, I want to thank you guys for tuning in to the first episode. This is a historic moment right here, damn it, of the Who's Ferro podcast. I got plans for you guys. I got plans for this platform. I got plans going forward, man. I cannot wait to see how creative I can get. So I want to thank you. If you got to this point, you truly believe in your boys. So thank y'all so much for that time, that love, and support that you guys have shown me. If you got to this point in the video, I don't know, comment Victor Wembanyama or something like that. Let me see if you can spell Wembanyama. How about that? Don't cheat me either. Don't go to Google. Try to spell Victor Wembanyama. So thank you so much for tuning in to the first episode of the Who's Ferro podcast. I don't know exactly how frequent I'm going to get these out. Obviously, during the NBA season, the goal is to get one out every day. But we'll see how things go. See how the news cycle kind of runs. Time, love, and support is what your boy would never take for granted. Your boy, Who's Ferro. I'm out.